welcome to Skyways. I'm Gina Brown on the first show of our 14th season. We had an incredible weekend this past weekend, recognizing 15 years since the tragedy of 9/11, which included the fall of the trade towers in New York. By the end of the day, 2,996 people were dead, 26 of which were Canadian. When the U.S. airspace closed that day, airplanes had to find the nearest airport, and what it meant for Gander, 38 flights were diverted to Gander, and the then population of approximately 10,000 in Gander had to welcome 6,600 passengers. Those 5 days with the plane people, I think for most of us who were here, will always be a memory of 9/11. Here to talk about that, as well as the past weekend, is the Mayor of Gander, Claude Elliott. It seems like it's always the first show of every season we get you.
Yeah, Gina, it's always a pleasure to be here, whether it's the first, second, or third. So, it's always a pleasure to be with you.
It's amazing when we take a look back on that day and the hospitality that Gander had. When we welcomed all of those passengers. We just kind of took it in stride. The people returned on their way, and we never thought there was going to be anything more to it. But there's a momentum of the stories of the generosity that Gander showed that those 5 days is getting worldwide attention.
Yeah, this was nothing for us. I mean, if you look at the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, as I've said this past weekend, the hospitality that the people received there, they would receive that anywhere in this province. So that's just our culture. So that's nothing. We did all that, and everybody went away happy, and we were happy. But we have to look at it from the eyes of people who is not used to it. And they see it altogether different than what we see it. And they're saying, yeah, that is huge, man. What you did there for those 5 days, we wouldn't find this anywhere else in the world. And yet the United States people can't find enough ways to thank us. So we're saying the simple thank yous, when people left, we were paid in full. We didn't need anything else, but we cannot look at it from our eyes. We have to look at it from those people, and they see it altogether different. And I tell you, Gander will be recognized for this for a long, long time to come.
Well, there were delegates who came up from New York, 12 volunteers from various 9/11 tribute museums, and they came up as part of a gratitude tour to tell the people of Gander how much they thank us, and to get stories from Gander to bring it back to New York. Very solemn occasion, but despite the solemnness of the occasion, they did have some joy and happiness. And I know one of the first times that happened was during a screech-in up at the Gander Canadian Royal Legion, and we have some highlights from that. Why don't we take a look?
What are you laughing so much for? You gotta kiss it too.
I don't want to kiss that. It's looking at me. Look, watch. Wait. Don't push it.
You look away.
Oh my God.
Are you proud to be a Newfoundland?
Indeed I is. Indeed I is. Me old cock long may the big jib drop.
Long may your big jib drop. Okay.
Long may your big job.
It's a job, but it's got it.
Indeed I is. Ye old cock. Long may your big jib jab.
Are you proud to be a Newfoundland?
Indeed I is, old cock. Long may your big jib.
Just about perfect. Are you proud to be a Newfoundland?
Absolutely.
Not the right word.
Well,
Indeed I is.
indeed I is.
The old cock.
The old cock. All the drip drop.
You're proud to be a Newfoundlander. Indeed I is, old cock, and long may your big jib draw. Are you proud to be a Newfoundlander?
Indeed I is. Old cock. No. Is that right? Okay, and long may your big jib draw.
Incredible people. When did you know that they were coming up?
Well, we knew probably a couple of months ago that those people were coming up to Gander. They had plans made, and they said they would be in Gander. So we wanted to have, wanted to just make them feel like part of it. And people look forward to this screeching. I mean, it's only a ceremony. I got screeching in Seattle last year, Seattle style. And they gave me a salmon. I had to kiss a salmon. And then they gave me this espresso Starbucks coffee, the real thick black stuff. You think screech is bad? And you think the cod is bad? Not as bad as the salmon in that espresso. But it's their way. So they did it to me, their style. And it's all about fun and the memories and the fun. And that's what those people were saying. You know, I talked to some of them on Sunday before I said goodbye to them because they were leaving yesterday morning on the early flight. They said, we have a better understanding now about you people. We understand your lifestyle. Man, you have a great lifestyle up here. You're great people. And hopefully that we can take away from this and we can become more like you.
I think if for people who are watching, you may have noticed with the delegates, there was two of which were retired
firefighter
policemen,
yeah.
And I think that probably was part of the reason why they felt a real need to make sure that they went out and thanked first responder, and that was part of the reason why on Saturday they decided to go down to Gander Fire Rescue. I met several of the delegates. You're going to see one of the delegates I got to spoke with, as well as the Senator of Canada.
Hi, Paul.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I am here from New York City to express our gratitude to Gander for the kindnesses and compassion it showed to the Plain people 15 years ago. Okay. And we want you to know in New York you're not forgotten, and we very much appreciate the best of the human spirit of the city of Gander. And this book is from the 9/11 Memorial and Museum, and it's my great pleasure on behalf of the museum, our group, to present it to the fire department.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Maria, you have an incredible bunch of people with you from New York. Explain how it was that you guys ended up in Gander for the 15th anniversary of 9/11.
Well, Gina, we are all volunteers in New York City at different museums that represent 9/11. And we are a close group of friends. And a colleague of mine, actually gave me the book The Day the World Came to Town to read. And when I first got it, I said, "Where's Gander?" And she just said, "Read the book." I read the book. It was an amazing story, as you well know. Amazing. Ironically, 2 weeks later, Maureen Basnicki, who is spearheading along with the people of Gander the National Service Day in Canada for this 15th anniversary, she was at the museum and I was speaking with her. Maureen she's exceptional. She's terrific, wonderful woman. And if you could believe this, we just kind of clicked. We were speaking, and after a half an hour, I felt like we were old friends. So she told me about National Service Day in Canada.
Hi, Maria, just one second. For people who aren't familiar with Maria, just explain a little bit about who she is, about Maureen.
Maureen Basnicki, she is a 9/11 widow. Her husband was killed when the North Tower collapsed. He was at a business meeting on the 106th floor at Windows on the World restaurant. And what Maureen has been doing since then is just unbelievable. She's very active in promoting the goodness of people, promoting the idea that good is better than hate. Love is stronger than hate. And when I met her that afternoon in the museum, she was telling me about National Service Day in Canada, and I said, that's amazing. What an amazing concept. And she said, we're working on it. We have our crew and everybody here in Gander who now, Kelly and all of the people, that wonderful people that I've met. So she asked me, she said, Maria, do you think you could be, for lack of a better word, like my New York City liaison, and maybe bring some representation from New York City to Gander for that weekend? And I was honored. I said, Maureen, it would be our pleasure. I would truly be honored to do that. So then this whole thing just kind of took a life of its own on. We came to, obviously for National Service Day, but then we also came just to thank all of the wonderful, amazing, compassionate people in Gander who that morning, without being asked, with no one requiring them to do anything, stepped up without thinking and started taking care of all of the people from the plane people.
Senator, I have to get you to explain what brings you to Gander.
The connection between our families and the Americans whose lives were interconnected by the events. I went down to New York shortly after 9/11 as our Consul General, so we were the home, the Canadian home for the families for every anniversary that they came to mark the event, to connect with their lost loved ones. And then when I was appointed to the Senate, it was one of my missions to see the National Day of Service put into legislation and been given some force. So that took a while to do, but we did get that done for the 10th anniversary. So it just seems so fitting that now on the 15th anniversary, everyone is in Gander, Canadians and Americans, to say thank you. The number of people who came by the Canadian consulate in New York, who knocked on the door, who asked for appointments, to come and say, we don't know what to do, we just want to say thank you to Canada because your country was so amazing. And so for this opportunity, I'm truly grateful to be here with the Americans and the Canadians. It's a wonderful, wonderful way to recognize those we lost and celebrate the connection that brought all of us.
Well, it was a wonderful way to get to meet the delegates and hear their personal stories. As you can see, you were there.
Oh, yeah. You know, it's not, to me, this whole thing since 9/11, everybody you meet from the United States, by the time you're finished with them, it's almost like they're part of your family. They connect with you. They want to be close to you. They feel that sense of comfort. And even today, some people in the States, they still don't feel comfortable in their own country, but they feel safe here. They feel like, you know, just being with you, I know I'm going to be safe.
That's a wonderful way to explain that. We're going to be discussing more and see more of Gander's 9/11 Tribute Weekend right after this. Welcome back to Skyways as we take a look back over this past weekend and the commemorative events that took place in Gander as we mark the 15th anniversary of 9/11. Once again, joining me is the Mayor of Gander, Claude Elliott. So, Mayor, it was right from the beginning on Sunday, on the anniversary of 9/11. 8 o'clock in the morning, I believe it was, there was commemorative services taking place at the Cenotaph here in Gander, down in Appleton, and it was capped off by an absolutely beautiful ecumenical service. I was fortunate to be at the one that was at the 10th. I think the 15th rivaled it.
Well, there's no question about it. It was very professional. It was well put together, and a lot of work went into that. I mean, our staff, you know, Nicole and Kelly and Jerry, and then, you know, Debbie from the Chamber of Commerce. So it was a joint effort by everybody. And I mean, they put it off, and, you know, you're sitting there, you're part of it, and it's a world-class event, and there was nothing but accolades from the people that was there. They were very proud.
Robert Pilon, the Canadian tenor, was there. And, oh, beautiful.
And I mean, I've had so many people say I've never been so proud to be from Gander as what I was after I left there Sunday.
And you got emotional.
Yeah, it is, you know. It's very difficult sometimes when you, as I said, the young guy that approached me in Seattle, you know, he wanted to thank the people of Gander for what they did. And, you know, he's there to take into play. And he said, my dad lost his life. He was on flight 93. And in the midst of his storm and the anniversary coming up and the tragedy that he had to deal with at 8 years old losing his dad, he wanted to take time to say thank you. And yeah, that brings out the emotions in you, because it could be my son.
Well, why don't we take a look at some of the highlights of the ecumenical service?
Some of us fall by the wayside, and some of us soar to the stars, and some of us sail through our troubles. Some have to live with the scars. There's far too much to take in here, or to find that could ever be found. But the sun rolling high over sapphire skies keeps great and small on the endless round in the circle of life. It's a wheel of fortune. It's a leap of faith. It's a band of hope till we find a place on the path of winding in the circle of life. It's a wheel of fortune. It's a leap of faith. It's a band of hope till we find our place on the path of winding in the circle of
And that was Robert Pilon, you were just saying there, Canadian tenor, and he performed with various local groups of choirs, Kim Wiseman you saw there. And for people interested in seeing that ecumenical service in its entirety, Rogers TV will be airing it this Saturday and Sunday on Channel 9, beginning at 10 o'clock. Make sure you keep an eye on to the listings for repeats. You don't want to miss that. And as if the tribute wasn't enough from the New York delegates and the thanks, it continued, because then Gander prepared for more guests that were coming as part of a motorcade as they were bringing steel up from New York from the South Tower. When did you find out that the steel was coming up? I mean, it was literally watched across the states as it made its way up 1,500 miles, I think it was.
Yeah, we knew a nice while back that this was happening. This group was leaving with a piece of steel. We knew because about last week, I got a call. They wanted me to be in New York to be part of the ceremony there to see the steel leave, but I had already been booked for Washington, and we just couldn't get the schedule, the flight schedule and everything to get to New York and then to Washington. So unfortunately, I couldn't make it there. And we knew that they were going to leave with police escort and forest right all across. And it was very important to them to deliver that piece of steel. They wanted to do it to honor this community. Even General Motors loaned them a truck to take it up here, and so that means a lot to them. And we have to appreciate what people do for us as much as people appreciate what we do for them. And it's their way of saying, I want to thank you. And it's very important.
Beautiful.
And the 3 pieces of steel right now in Gander, that is sacred. You know, people lost their lives amongst that steel, and that has to be looked at. You know, to me, when I look at that, I just don't see a piece of steel. I see the people. I saw people that died when this all fell down around them. And I tell you, we have to be, you know, we should be very thankful and very proud that we have that part of our community.
Well, I had the chance to speak to Catherine Chrisman on the tarmac as we waited for the motorcade to come in escorting the steel. She explained how the effort began, all in the name of her cousin, Stephen Siller, a firefighter who died that day as a first responder. I also spoke with Reg Wright. He's the president and CEO of the Gander International Airport Authority, to get his reaction of the day. Explain what brings you to Gander.
Love, pure love. When we heard the story of Gander and what they did in terms of love 15 years ago, part of the mission of the Stephen Siller Tunnel to Towers Foundation, who was a firefighter killed on 9/11, is to never forget. And we thought that there could not be any more fitting way to remember what happened that day than to bring a piece of the World Trade Center steel here to share with the people of Gander an acknowledgement of all that they did, and the airport, the role that the airport played. So that's what brought us here.
I think it's important, especially on a day like this, when the tendency is to think towards tragic deeds, that it's those heroic moments like the one that your cousin demonstrated on 9/11. Could you just tell us a little bit about what happened that day?
Well, Stephen had just gotten off duty. He was with the Brooklyn Firehouse, headed back to Staten Island to play golf with his brothers. Can you imagine just something as average as that? When his vehicle, he had a scanner and it told him something was going on at the World Trade Center. He turned his vehicle around, went back to his Brooklyn Firehouse, which was deserted at that point. They had responded to the World Trade Center fire. So Stephen grabbed about 60 pounds of his gear, put it in his truck, went to go through the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, but that was all blocked off. So undeterred, Stephen grabbed all that gear, ran through the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, which is almost 2 miles, and it's hot, and there's an incline, and then he went from there to the towers, where we believe he died in the South Tower. And the piece of steel is from the South Tower. That's what makes it additionally meaningful for us.
How was your family impacted?
Well, Stephen was the youngest of 7 children, and he had 6 much older brothers and sisters. So when he died that day, not only did they lose a brother, which is horrific enough, but they also lost a son because they had helped to raise him from the time he was 10. Both his parents died by the time he was 10. So it was, just really a double impact as far as they were concerned. And because Stephen's children were so young, from 10 months to 10, they wanted to join together, start a foundation in Stephen's name, and let his children know him by the good works that we do. So you were talking before about good things that happen, Stephen, the heroism there. We are trying to follow that every day and follow in his footsteps and do good things in his memory.
And as I understand, you raise a lot of money to help out other people.
We do raise money. One of our main programs is Building for America's Bravest, and what that is when the guys are coming back from war, some of them triple and quadruple amputees, their lives can be saved now because of medical advances. They come back to homes that are so woefully inadequate. So we identified that need, and I'm happy to say that as I'm talking to you at this point, we have 56 smart homes, we call them because they have all these high-tech features, that have either been built in the United States, all over the U.S., or in the process of being built. In fact, we gave one away today in Florida a couple hours ago to a newlywed couple. Corey Kent, he just got his new smart home because that was his hometown in Florida, Cape Coral, and that's where he wanted to live with his wife.
Thank you so much for your bravery in telling the story, and thank you for coming and allowing this event to take place. It means so much to the people of Gander.
I wouldn't be any other place but Gander today.
Wonderful. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And with that, it is my honor to now present this piece of history to Reg White, President and CEO of the Gander International Airport. May its presence enrich this place forever. Thank you.
Almost 7,000 people arrived at this airport in this very room 15 years ago. They were scared, they were confused, and they were outraged. They were in need of help, and we were all in a position to provide it. And if you think about it, what so many people have called Gander's act of extraordinary kindness is really just a bunch of people being good neighbors.
Reg, what a wonderful opportunity for you to welcome something so incredible to the Gander International Airport.
It is incredible. It's not just to get the piece of steel, it's the love and work that came behind a convoy coming 1,500 miles to bestow it on us. It's really touching.
When did you hear that this initiative was getting started?
Oh, they only started this a month ago. I got a call from a gentleman named John Hodge, and he told me what he wanted to do. And I said, we'd be more than happy to have you. And I tried to explain some of the logistical challenges. One of the first questions I got was there a ferry? So those guys took this on, and the Stephen Siller Foundation knows how to get things done. So here they are today, on time, on schedule, as delivered.
What did they say to you as to the reason that they felt it was important to have it here at the airport?
I just think they wanted to recognize the airport, and probably by proximity. The airport's just an extension of the community and the region. So I think they knew that we didn't have a piece here for display, so now we do.
And what does it mean to you on a personal level?
I don't know, I'm welled up about it. It's a great thank you, but none of us wanted to thank you. No, none of the response to 9/11 was about thank yous or pats on the back. It was just about doing what was right, but it is nice to be thanked in some ways, and not to the airport. The airport did a job on that day. It's really a thank you to the everyday citizen who got out, chipped in, helped out, provided food, provided shelter, provided comfort. We did a job here. Our job at the airport is to attend to planes that are diverted. We wouldn't have done it without the community.
Please give us a call at 651-3257. Simply put all of your comments in an email addressed to skyways@rci.rogers.com. Travel first class to our website at www.rogerstv.com.
And make sure you're watching next week, because we'll look at some of the stories from the New York delegates and Come From Away, the musical's coming right to Gander.
Yeah, it is. It's a miracle, I guess, that we're getting such a production. It's a world-class production. It's about Gander. I had the opportunity to see it again last week in Washington, and it's at the Ford Theater in Washington. And while I was there, I was talking to the president, and he said if they stop selling tickets now today, it's the biggest show that they've ever had in the history of the Ford Theater. And right now, we found out today that it's extended to October the 16th in Washington. They had to put on an extra week.
Go to the Gander Community Center for tickets. Thanks so much, Mayor.
And thank you.